The main thing that I hear from clients is, I don't have enough time. Most of us go through life feeling like we have no control over our days. We often say, where did the time go? But we say, we just don't have enough time to add decluttering on top of everything else. And we may honestly feel that way, but we wanted to get some things done, and we really thought the time wasn't there. The time wasn't there.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they can cherish what truly matters. Hello, Decluttering Club, and welcome to the podcast episode number 15. Today, we have a special guest, my dear friend, Linda B., who is a decluttering coach and time management specialist. So, Linda, thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sarah. I just really love when we have a chance to get together and talk about these things because they're so interesting to learn how we can improve. And I originally started my improvements through you, and now I'm trying to help others do the same.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It is fun, isn't it? Who knew? I'm so deep into these things. I love it. We have a great time. I think people are always surprised at the perspective that you bring to the table. You've got a little twist on things. I know our listeners are going to love hearing from you today. So do you want to introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Linda B., and I currently live in the Seattle, Washington area with my husband and my little dog Bailey. So I got my two boys in the house here, and I recently retired. I guess it's been about a year and a half ago now. I decided that I wanted to spend my time doing this, reaching out, helping people, just doing research on things is so much fun. There's so many things out there that you never run out of things. It's always exciting. And so I'm not having a dull retirement. I am on Sarah's team, and I have my own coaching business, and I'm just loving it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that you've chosen to spend some of your retirement with us and working with clients. It's so exciting. I know sometimes people retire and they think life's going to be amazing. They're going to go play golf all day or do their crafts. And sometimes that falls a little bit short.
Actually, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, to avoid golfing with my husband.
Okay, we won't tell him. Okay,
Yeah.
so we want to talk about time management today. And your topic is, how can we gain control over our day with time management? Talk to me about this. I know this is such a huge struggle. The people that we work with and people who have clutter, they tend to struggle as well with managing their time and really getting things done. So talk to us, like, how can we do this? Like, where do we start?
Okay. First of all, time management, as you said, it applies to all parts of our lives. But the reason I focus on it for decluttering is, the main thing that I hear from clients is, I don't have enough time. Most of us go through life feeling like we have no control over our days. We often say, where did the time go? But we say, we just don't have enough time to add decluttering on top of everything else. And we may honestly feel that way, but we wanted to get some things done, and we really thought the time wasn't there. The time was there, and we just did not control our use of it. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how we reframe things and our mindset about time so that we are controlling it and it's not controlling us.
That is good. What you just said, and we think the time isn't there, but it is there. And I think we can all see that.
Yeah.
Like everybody, we can all be like, yeah, I did spend that hour wasting time doing whatever where I could have used it otherwise.
Exactly. Before we promise ourselves we're going to accomplish things in a day, we need to make sure we're not setting ourselves up for disappointment. Like sometimes we'll say, okay, I've got a good day today. I've got time. I'm going to do these 3 projects. And then you only get 2 done. And then how do we feel? We normally feel deflated, disappointed, beat ourselves up. First of all, we got things done, so we should be celebrating. But second of all, we're disappointed because we did not meet the expectation that we set up for ourselves. And it wasn't our fault because the time truly was not there. Not because we didn't have it, but because we did not use it in a controlled manner. Time management is a valuable skill that was never taught to us growing up. And I want to share with you how we recognize the true availability of time. So first of all, you've got your day, it's fairly open, and you think, oh, I can get all these things done. but you need to stop and check and make sure you really do. It's just like you check to make sure you have the money to buy something. You need to check your time to see if you can do something. It's like payday Friday, and you have all of this money in the bank, and you feel like you can go buy all this stuff. A portion of that is spoken for with bills and other things. And it's the same with time. I've got all this time, but you need to do the math.
That's so good. Like we think I have the whole day in front of me, but we forget, oh, wait, I still have these things that I still have to pick up the kids. I still have to take the dog to the groomer. And oh, wait, there's this appointment. We forget all of those things that are just a given, I guess, like with our money. The same thing. We wouldn't say, oh, I just got $1,000 check in the bank account. I'm just going to have $1,000. No, maybe I don't. Maybe I need to pay the electric bill or the phone bill.
Exactly. We have to do the math. So for example, if you have 16 hours you're awake, you can't use the whole thing to do your projects. There's two things about time, and one of them is that we have to start getting a general sense of how long things take. So how long does your morning routine take? You get up, you brush your teeth, you have your coffee, you make breakfast, you eat breakfast, you feed the dog, et cetera, et cetera. We're pretty standard every morning about what we do. Time it a couple of times, get an average, doesn't have to be precise, and say, my morning routine takes up 1 hour, 1.5 hours, whatever it takes up. So right there, that's 1.5 hours of that 16 hours that you cannot use. Then you also need to do the same thing. I've got to make lunch. I got to make dinner. I got to prepare them. I got to eat them. Anything you have to do, subtract from your day. And I call those busy with life items, BWLs. And those are outside of your projects, your decluttering or whatever. These are just things you do in life. How many more hours you've had to subtract out of that 16? That's coming down. Now, do you have to pick up kids? Do you have to run to the doctor? Do you have to get some groceries? And you just go through the things you have to do that day. And most of the time, and it's not bad, you'll only come up with 1 to 4 hours if you thought you had the whole day. It's very eye-opening when you really take a good look at it. That's why I'm always pushing people, although they may use the word nagging, that planners are so good because you can put things down there. You don't have to say, okay, exactly at 8 o'clock, I'm going to start my project, but you need to feel that you have control over it. I have enough time to do these and get them done. You're not just saying, okay, I've got the day. Let me take my to-do list. I'll get it all done.
Oh my gosh. You just blew my mind, really, honestly. Like thinking about how much time does the morning routine take? I think for me, it's 2 hours. And I think I could probably try to turn that into 30 minutes. But if I did, I would feel very rushed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what maybe people do a lot of times. They just think, okay, I just got to squeeze it in. But then I feel rushed, and I do not like feeling rushed at all. That is not cool with me personally.
Yeah, and that's not sustainable long time. You have to be true to yourself. You don't start with changing your BWLs. You're busy with life. Start by using that other time because it'll be more natural. You're not giving up something or stressing yourself or shortening something else, but you'll actually get more done in the long run.
Okay, so we're not squeezing the BWLs.
No. Not unless you find wasted time in there that you don't mind giving up, because that's always good to look at every once in a while. So you have your morning routines and usually evening routines, and just every once in a while, check in with yourself. Do I need to add something? Do I need to subtract something? It's good use of your time if you feel good about it. If you feel that there's no need for it or you don't enjoy it or whatever, and you can do something else, absolutely. Because what our goal here is at the end of the day, we want to feel good about our day. We want to go to bed at night, excited to get up the next morning and have another day.
Yes.
How many times have we gone to bed at night and said, oh my gosh, I didn't get anything done today? And
what did I do? I don't even know. I had all day and who knows? It just disappeared.
So 2 of the things you need to gain control of is to know the true amount of the time you have and not overbooking yourself. And I use the word booking because even if you don't use a planner, just write it down somewhere, just like it was an outside appointment you had. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be precisely at that time, but around that time, you can say, I have an appointment to declutter that drawer with myself. And it's probably going to take me more or less, but it's going to take me approximately this much time. And I put it in my schedule. We have to honor ourselves as much as we would honor any other appointment. We need to, how should I say it, respectful of ourselves. And I don't think that's something we think about very often. We're respectful to our friends if we have an appointment with them to show up. We're respectful to the doctor's office and we show up. Why don't we always show up for ourselves? We need to have that. I'm just important, if not more important than anything else. And I said I would do it, and I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So anyway, if you only schedule 2 things and you get them done, then you have a positive feeling at the end of the day. You're ready to keep that momentum going. But let's say you've scheduled it, you've done everything you're supposed to do, and you only get 1 done. I want you to be intentional as the day goes on. If you come to the one that for some reason you can't or don't want to do, or whatever it is, I want you to make an intentional decision to say, this is why, you want to know the why, this is why I am not keeping this appointment with myself for this. And I choose this. This isn't something outside of me controlling me. I am choosing it, and I'm choosing what I'm going to do about it. Either I'm going to reschedule it, or we're going to farm it out to the kids, or we're going to cancel it altogether, whatever we decide. So then when we come to the end of the day and we only did 1 instead of 2, it's not that we just let our day slip away. We controlled our day and we're still satisfied with it. We're not beating ourselves. Using that time intentionally so that we're controlling our productivity and ultimately controlling our days.
Wow, that's so good. Making a choice on purpose to say, I am deferring or canceling or whatever this activity, and here's why. Not just, oh, didn't happen, there we go again, but this is actually what happened, and being really in control. I like that a lot. I think that's really smart.
I think a lot of times we play the victim. This happened to me today, or that happened to me. Most of the time we're just not controlling what happens to us. Yeah, there are times in life where things will happen that you can't control, and you got to go with the roll. But we're talking, if we can just get 80% of our days under control, if 20% went awry, you're great. You're great. It really doesn't take 100%. In fact, I don't even suggest being on, how I say, on scheduled time 100% of the time. I myself do the 5 days a week. And then unless it's something special, I try to let the weekends just flow and not feel guilty. Whatever it is, it is. You really don't want to 7 days a week be so regimented with yourself, because that'll burn you out and then you won't do any of it. You'll slip back and you'll say, yeah, I'm not as happy as I was. But I think if you're looking at starting some kind of time management, absolutely the first thing you need to do is get yourself a little notebook or a pad of paper and start, as you do things that you do like on a regular basis, jot down approximately how much time that took. Because you can't plan your day, just like you can't plan to go buy those clothes you were going to buy out of $1,000 if you don't know how much they cost. So it's the same thing. How much time do my busy with life items cost me? So then you know right away, and it's not every day you've got to do a big math equation. You're usually up approximately 16 hours or whatever it is for you. All your routines and busy with life stuff normally takes, say, 4, 5 hours, whatever. And then you add on any outside appointments. Boom, there is your actual time you have to work with, including breaks, which is very important. So when you look at that, let's say you have 3 hours.
Okay.
That's really a lot. We know how much we can get done in 10 minutes. It's up to you whether you put your maintenance, like your cleaning, let's say, I don't know, the bathroom cleaning or whatever it is. You can either put it in your busy with life if you do it almost daily, or you can take your times that's left and you could split it into maintenance and decluttering, because keeping that maintenance up while you're decluttering is very important, not letting it slip and then you get done with the end of this and this one needs to be done again. It's when you paint the house, and let's say it took you a year to paint that house because you're doing it yourself, you got a little brush. By the time you got to the end of painting the house, guess what? That part you started on is already starting to fade out and look a little shabby. Oh, you don't want to do that with your home. You want to make sure you schedule for both. Or maybe you're one type of person, you want to do all maintenance one day and then the next day do all projects, do decluttering or whatever like that. the trick is, and this is why when I work with my clients on time, is you have to make it very individual to fit how you work best, how your life is run. You can't go to a book, open it up, and it says, do it this way, bang. It just won't fit you. It doesn't work. So it takes a little work to get your time management under control because you've got homework, you've got timing to do, you got to figure out if your routines are, I don't even think lots of people realize what they do every day. They have routines, but they do. That's to figure it out. Do I have things that I work on that I do every single morning or every single evening
that I'm already doing and I'm just not even taking credit for them?
Right.
It's not like you're sitting on the couch for 16 hours a day. You're probably up and doing things. So maybe you should notice, what are those busy with life things that fit into your day?
Exactly. I know. And when you don't recognize what you're getting done in those routines, you're more apt at the end of the day to feel like you've done nothing. And you have done things. If you didn't do those busy with life things, what would happen? You wouldn't eat, you wouldn't have clean laundry, you're
Such a good point, right? We think they're optional or I'm just going to squeeze them in. But you're right. If I don't do laundry, then I have nothing to wear or the laundry piles up. And we forget that. We think it's just supposed to happen magically. And it doesn't work that way.
Another little trick I like to do with time is, so I have these things that I'm doing throughout my day, but there's always these little snippets of time here and there. And I just love it if I can fit something totally unplanned in there. Oh, I just didn't mean to take those 3 things off my bathroom counter and put them up. That type of thing. You don't even schedule them in. They're like little freebies. And each one's like a little raindrop. And if you collect them all, here you've got a pond and you have all these things you've accomplished without even really feeling that you did much to get it done. So that when you're walking out of a room, just like picking up that sweater and dropping it off in the hall closet or wherever it goes, just very, very passive type cluttering. But when you start doing that, and what I found with a lot of clients, what they tell me is when they start doing that, it becomes habitual after a while.
In a good way.
Yeah. And once that becomes habitual, you'll have less to clean up because it's just happening throughout your day. It's really phenomenal. If you just do something long enough, your brain will adjust to, oh, this is what we do.
You had to think about it initially, but then over time, you're not thinking about it. And if you're doing it without thinking about it, it is a freebie, right? It happens to you. And you're like, oh, how about that? I have a question for you. Let's imagine you have someone and they've done the exercise, they've calculated, they're busy with life, time, and maybe they work that takes up 8 hours. So what if 1 hour, right? And they've accounted for, let's say, evening routine. They have time to get ready for bed. They've got 1 hour left. I think people may freak out about that. They may be very upset with that. How do you help people adjust to going from thinking I have a day after work to, oh, I really only have 1 hour? How does that work for people with you?
Like I said, it depends on the individual, but like for me, I've not always felt this way, but now I tend to say, okay, 1 hour. That's great. That gives me, I could do 3 10-minute sessions of work and I can have 30 minutes to do what I want with it, because we have to be careful that we schedule in some downtime or just doing some things you just want to do for yourself. So there is always, as long as there's at least 10 minutes, I say there's not a day I can't get something done. So rather than do a big project on that day, you could spend the whole hour on a project or 30 minutes on one project, whatever you feel. Oh, another thing to do with that is, hopefully you have a list somewhere, because you're not trying to hold it all in your brain. And you look through that list and you say, this is the most important, this one, or this thing has the shortest deadline, or this thing is more critical. And if you can fit that in that 1 hour, that's such a relief, because now you've gotten something off your plate that was hanging on, bugging you. Oh, I really got to get that done. The really got to get that done things are good things to try to put in those little times.
Nice.
But I guarantee you that I get more done now in 2 hours in my home than I used to get done all day.
I believe it. I believe it.
We don't realize how much time we flitter away during the day.
I think I was my most productive when my kids were little and I had a home business and I was homeschooling them. I think I got more done then because I had to. And I figured out and I probably had more energy because that was 15 years ago. But I think it's not like an hour isn't an hour. An hour in a day where you have nothing planned is different than an hour where, you gotta you gotta get those groceries put away and feed those kids and maybe also do some laundry, something like that.
Another thing with managing your day, if you're a morning person, take advantage of that. If you're an evening person, take advantage of that. Try not to schedule too much during times you're not at your prime. If you feel like you don't have any prime time, start paying attention. You'll find you do have times when things are easier during the day for you. I am definitely a morning person. I've known a lot of people that did their best cleaning at night. It's a combination of learning yourself, how you work best, learning how you want your day to run, and then just making some slight tweaks, adjustments to make improvements. So I think time is very sneaky. Time makes you think if you're having a good time, it goes fast. If you're sitting in the doctor's office up on that paper on the table and you're waiting for the doctor to come in, oh my gosh, I swear I sit there 30 minutes and I look at my watch and it's been 5.
That's so true. It's time is sneaky. I totally agree about that.
It is.
Now, I was going to ask you, how do you feel about multitasking? I don't think we've really talked about this. Is that something that you recommend or should we stay away from it? What do you think?
Most of the time, in most cases, I don't think multitasking is the best approach. A lot of people think they're great multitaskers, and then they go back and they say, oh, I didn't do a real good job on this one thing while I was doing this other thing and this, that, and the other. They say that the brain, and I say they because I don't have any citations in front of me, but I certainly could find them. They say that our brain can really only focus on one thing at a time. So if we are trying to focus on more than one thing at a time, we're splitting our focus. And I'd rather focus on the one thing and get it done and just be done with it than to have two things come out half what, and then later on I have to go back and redo it. How do you feel about multitasking?
Yeah, I think it depends. I'm with you for sure. I think when you start two things, then you're probably likely to either you don't do a great job or you don't finish either one. Whereas if you kept in on the one, you could have finished the one and then maybe started the second one. I think there may be a case for it for things that are mindless. Maybe.
Yeah, you could have the laundry running while you did something else.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could switch back and forth between those kinds of things more easily than, let's say, you're making some really big decisions. You're trying to figure out, I don't know, like how do we organize this space? That probably requires your full attention. And if you keep stopping to switch the laundry, probably not a great option. It's going to interrupt you. You're going to have to figure it out. But yeah, I definitely agree.
Now, rather than multitasking, there is something similar you could do, and that would be to sit down and think about the things that require the same effort or the same process. So let's say tonight I'm going to have something for dinner that has some of the same ingredients for something I was going to make for breakfast. You could do all that shopping for both. So you're actually working on breakfast and dinner at the same time. It actually is saving the start-stop time of doing it at a different time. That type of multitasking, yeah, I'm on board with. But
yeah,
multitasking, I'm not sure about everyone else, but when I've tried it, it just exhausted me. And
yeah,
I like focus on one thing. I think if you focus on one thing, you'll do a better job. You won't drain yourself as much and you'll have a better product at the end.
That's a great point. Yeah. But I do like that idea about it's kind of like batching things up, right? If you're chopping onions for breakfast and dinner, that's just a little bit like the opposite of multitasking, actually. One task that is going to do double duty, maybe you can do something once and have it actually serve you a few times. That's an interesting
Always
idea
trying to think of ways I can work smarter, not harder, because a lot of the things we do habitually, and a lot of that comes from our childhood, it's the way our mother did something or what we just saw as we were growing up. And maybe especially these days with so many different things at our disposal than they had back in the day, maybe there's an easier way to do what I'm doing and still do a good job of it. It's okay, let's think about this. And that's something that you really have to do purposely. It's not just it might hit you if you don't do it purposely, but if you take some time to just sit down with your cup of tea or whatever, when you're taking your break between your projects or whatever, and say, I wonder, how would it be if I tried it this way or something a
Mhm.
little bit easier? Easy does not equal bad. There is nothing wrong with easy. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you're smart. Figured out a way to do it easier. And if you do it easier, you'll do it more often, and you do it more often. It's the trickle effect, only on the good side of things.
Amazing. I love it. All right. So, is there anything that you want to add that we haven't covered yet that you want to wrap up with?
I would say if you're looking to gain control over your day to not only get more things done, but to not be as disappointed. And they do work hand in hand, because your emotions about how you feel about you doing the work and how you spend your day are going to decide how much you're going to want to do it the next day. Just do the time. You don't have to time everything all at once, but as you do those habitual things, just time them, keep a log on them, and then just start slowly. You are not going to get control of your time overnight. What you're going to do is make small incremental. You're not going to, if you start not overbooking yourself, you're going to be better off. But you got to do the math at least once. Get an idea of it before you start. If you feel at the end of that day that you had 2 hours left and what you put in it was too much or too little, that's great. You're learning. It's an experiment in the best way to do things to reach your goals. And if your goals are to be productive or whatever, your goals could be different. Maybe your goal right now is you're recuperating from something. It's not going to be the same goal you have for another day when you're feeling good. So recognize what's going on with you, recognize what's going on with your time. It is going to pass, whether you acknowledge it or not. Just figure out what's going to make me happy at the end of the day. If I just got this one thing done at the end of the day, and then schedule it. Don't just say, I'll do it. No, make a commitment to yourself. Write it down. Say, I'm going to do this after lunch today, right after lunch, or I'm going to do this at whatever. And then honor yourself, do it. I think after a while, it will really make a big change, because like I said, it'll be incremental, but you're heading in the right direction. You're not letting time just go by and do whatever. And then you standing there at the end of the day going, oh my gosh, where did it go? It went the same place it goes every single day at the same rate. Only now you're aware of the passage of that time, because you're scheduling your time and you know what is already taken up that you can't schedule more into. So that would be my synopsis for getting your day under control.
This is so good. And at the beginning, you said people just don't know how to manage this. We're not taught how to manage our time. And I think that is such a good point. I think most people are just running on autopilot, and they do feel like life is happening to them. So it might sound simple, just track your time and then do the things you said you were going to do, but it's not simple at all. And I think it is life-changing when people start to listen to this and to do these steps. It can really be the difference between night and day for a lot of people.
We're so into instant gratification. If we try something once and it doesn't work out exactly the way we hoped it would, sometimes we give it up. I just ask that you give it a decent trial. Do it a few weeks. And I can't believe you won't come out of it at the end of that couple of weeks or whatever without seeing some things that make a definite positive change in your life. And I know this is my thing, but also if you get to the point where you don't know exactly what to do about time, call it money. Whatever you would do about money will probably fit with your time. Of course, you have to know how much you have. You have to know how much time you have. You have to know how much money you have. You have to know how much things cost. It costs me 4 hours to do X. Same thing with money. You want to save up for things. You can do that with time once you get a little better at it. Let's say I want to save up so that I can do like a 4-hour period on something this weekend. So what can I do during the week so that I won't have the other things in my way to be able to accomplish this on that day? Like I said, if you don't know how to approach it, change it to money and see how you would approach it. And they're both like very valuable resources. I don't think money is far under the resource of time. It's just, it depends. Yes, you need money, but you need time.
Right. Money we get paid, money replenishes itself, but our time once it's gone.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily know what the budget is. We could get a little morbid here. Do we have a day? Do we have a year? Do we have 2 decades? We don't know. And I think we're so careless, with that.
We're short. Exactly. When we're short of money, we need to save some because we know we're tight. Okay, I won't spend as much on this or that. It's the same with time. If you're short of time, okay, maybe I won't spend time doing this thing that's really not necessary. So I have time to do that. Yeah, very similar concepts. I have no idea why they don't teach it in school.
I don't know. Maybe because it's you can't break it down into neat and tidy formulas like you can with a lot of other things. I don't know. Although you seem to have done a pretty good job. I don't know.
I'm constantly learning more about the subject, the more that I coach about it and do and read. And it truly is fascinating to me. So I think that's why I just keep thinking, oh, maybe there's one more thing that can be done. And it's that thirst. So whether your thirst is to get your house in order or your thirst is to, I don't know, whatever it is, I just take time to schedule it and do it. We say I want this, I want a clean house, I want this. But wanting is, what is it they say? Just a wish until there's some action put on it. And I could give you 100 different crazy memes to tell you that, but that's what it is at the end of the day. If you can't do it, can you do part of it? Can you do it a different way? Can you get someone else to do it? We all have limitations, whether it be physical, just whatever it is. And we may have to do it differently, but we need to stop saying, I just can't do it. And if it is truly that you cannot do it, then you're left with a choice. Do I have someone else do it? Do I pay someone to do it? Or can I live without it being done? Right. Once you make that intentional decision, you stop beating yourself up saying, I can't get it done. Okay, if you cannot, then choose one of the following. I hate when people beat themselves up because we all have problems. And I think part of the problem is that we get so discouraged. I tried this, I tried that, I can't do it. And then we just stop trying. And then things get really bad. And now we're more miserable. Anything I've suggested today, and you say, no, I can't do that, I can't do that. Explore that a little bit. Can you do it a little different? When it comes to time management, like I said, it's so individual. I just try to throw out a major concept and you take that concept and you see how it fits into your day.
So good. Linda, you have people can come and get coaching from you. They can work with you directly, decluttering and time management. Y'all need to go check out Linda, especially if this is something that you want to improve in your life. Where can people find you? We're going to include all the links in the show notes, of course, but just give the listeners some tips on how they can find you.
Sure. Okay. I have given Sarah the links for a couple of things. My free email comes out once a week on Tuesdays, which I just pick a random topic to talk about. A lot of them do include time management, and there's a link for that. And I have a free Facebook page where we share. I put things in there every day, and I have videos, and we share and we help one another. It's a safe space. There's no shame in our group. It's just a wonderful place to be, and that link will be on there.
And what's the name of the group? It's Linda's Clutter Talk, is that right?
Linda's Clutter Talk, yes.
Okay, on Facebook.
And you can find it if you just search for it. It will come up. And then I have a Facebook page and a website. I'm not going to bore you with those details right now because you'll start seeing links to the other things once you get into one thing, because I cross-link. And this is a new thing. I haven't put anything out there yet, but I just started a YouTube channel.
YouTube, okay.
After I get a couple of videos ready, I'm going to start putting those out there. So if you see that, I hope you'll subscribe. And I'm just figuring out how I can help more people, how I can get to reach someone that hasn't been able to find a way to be satisfied with the way things are going. And that usually has something to do with your home.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a lot of fun. I know I have some new ideas. Busy with life. I'm going to check into that, see what my numbers are. Really interesting.
Yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off you knowing that it wasn't because you didn't do anything.
100%. All right. Thanks for being here. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, would you leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts? It would really help us get the word out. To start your decluttering journey, go to thedeclutteringclub.com/start. That's declutteringclub.com/start.